what's happening, because we have the vaccine passport threat for where's the papers, and you're going to be forced to take this vaccine, and you can't fly, you can't travel, you can't go out, you can't get groceries. And trust me, they are draconian crazy on the left. So there's all kinds of plans they have for your life. Secondly, there's this. Gee, I don't know if we will be able to even do our Cuomo segment there. Mercedes, should we do that quick thing?
You can do it real quick.
Throw it in there now, Mr. Producer, because they're planning on driving that thing out as fast. Watch this.
Do you believe that race is, the variables are, and what the messaging should be?
My main concern is that we're not going to reach herd immunity because of vaccine hesitancy. And I know that's hard for a lot of people to believe who desperately want the vaccine right now. And they're thinking, oh, well, it's just a small percentage of people who are actually anti-vaxxers. And that's true. There is the anti-science, anti-vaxxer contingent. But I think that there are many more people, millions of people, who, for whatever reason, have concerns about the vaccine, who just don't know what's in it for them. And we need to make it clear to them that the vaccine is the ticket back to pre-pandemic life. And the window to do that is really narrowing. I mean, you were mentioning, Chris, about how all these states are reopening. They're reopening at 100%. And we have a very narrow window to tie reopening policy to vaccination status. Because otherwise, if everything is reopened, then what's the carrot going to be? How are we going to incentivize people to actually get the vaccine? So that's why I think the CDC and the Biden administration needs to come out a lot bolder and say, if you're vaccinated, you can do all these things. Here are all these freedoms that you have, because otherwise people are going to go out and enjoy these freedoms anyway.
Wow. If you just have the mark on the back of your hand, you can buy, you can sell. Think of the freedoms you have. And think of the government now in this sci-fi space where they have the ability to track you, to digitize you, to put you in a position where health and economics and tracking, that's the next thing. And by the way, this is all going into digital devices. This is going to be on the smartphones. You're going to either have the physical papers with you or it's going to be the smartphone, but the smartphone gives them the ability to track where you are. And this is like the China dream come true. The West is moving faster than them in ingenious ways of controlling the population. But I've got to segue from this for a second. But I love that small number of people that are anti-science. You hear that? This is I love how they call us anti-science. This is the party of transgenderism, which gives us the science of chromosome structures and says, forget the chromosomes, forget your anatomy that you come out of the womb with, overlook it all. What you think and what you believe is more important than the science. And then they quote science. It's kind of like they say you have to have the vaccine because we have to be responsible, but then they don't want voter ID. Why is it that they want you to have a vaccine passport so you can't go, buy, sell, travel without it, but they'd open up the borders and there's no ID there? There's nothing. There's no need for identification when you go vote in the Democrats. But you see what I'm saying? The hypocrisy and the selective, unscientific nature of this party is hilarious. All right, we have someone now who is a no-nonsense activist. I'd like to bring in specialists. And Janet Porter is known for action, action, action. And she's been one of the primary promoters behind that heartbeat bill for life. Her network, which is Faith to Action, is about getting people of faith to go do something instead of just wring their hands and pray nervous Zoom call prayers. So, Janet, welcome to Firewall. And you know about H.R. 5. We talked about H.R. 1, but H.R. 1 is like one part of this danger. The other part is the Transgender Supremacy Act, which is going to impose a whole new sexual revolution criteria on the civil rights movement and force every organization, business, school, and Christian entity to bow the knee to Baal, whether they like it or not. Educate us about this.
Sure. This Inequality Act, this thing is so bad. And most people understand that with a costume change, a man can come and intrude in a women's shower room, bathroom, a shower, or a prison, a shelter. This is what some people are calling political rape for women who are being put in harm's way because any man with a simple costume change can intrude all of those formerly safe spaces. But it's beyond that. It's not just the intrude in women's safety, destroy women's safety. It's not only that, it's destroying children's safety. But it goes even beyond that. One of the things I'll start with, because the heartbeat bill has been my focus for the last 10 years, as we're seeing now, Texas may be heartbeat law number 12, as we're working to try and get these bills that recognize science, that if a heartbeat's detected, a baby's protected. But a lot of people don't know that H.R. 5 would wipe out every heartbeat law that's been passed. Not only that, it'll wipe out every parental consent law, every right to know law, every informed consent, every waiting period, every pain capable, any funding, any conscience. If you're a doctor, you'll no longer have the conscience clause. Where does it come from? Well, Matt Staver explained it to me. I said, Matt, I've read this bill. Where is it? He says it's in the part that says that they're elevating the pregnancy, childbirth, or related medical conditions, that you can't discriminate based on medical conditions. So what that means is you cannot prohibit a child. You cannot pass any law to protect children in any way, whether they have a beating heart or whether they don't, whether they're moments before birth. But the medical condition issue is one that affects children who are born as well. If you have a child who's been re-educated in the government schools with this propaganda piece right here, what they'll do is they may come out confused, kind of like attending the drag queen story hour at the local library. And if your child comes out confused, so much so that they take hormone therapy, or if they cut off healthy body parts, I mean, if they mutilate their body, you as a parent cannot prevent them from performing destructive surgery, even if on a minor child. If you're a pastor, you can't counsel somebody who's confused, got a gender issue, or wants to come out of homosexuality. You can't give them the biblical perspective. You can't tell them what God says. And interestingly, the people that we have as a part of a campaign to do something about it is a guy by the name of Jeffrey McCall. He is a former homosexual, a former transgender. According to the people that we're up against, they say this guy doesn't even exist. And yet he's marching around the country, including a freedom march on June the 5th in Washington. And he is explaining that there is hope for change. These people exist. Their rights should also be recognized. And this bill does away with them all. And what we're looking at is, what can we do about it? All right. Well, when we were fighting the heartbeat bill, Lance, we got blocked out of sending faxes. We sent almost a 500,000 faxes. They said no more. You're breaking our fax machines. I said, all right. So we sent emails, and 910,000 emails. They said no more. You cannot. Congress said you cannot send any more emails. You're breaking our system. So last time I checked, we're still allowed to use the Postal Service. And so a group of us gathered together, and you were at that first meeting. I had breakfast with Brother Lou Engle, with Larry Tomczak and some others, and we put together a coalition where we prayed, and we asked, what can we do? How can we make it easy for people to put their faith to action? And we came up with a postcard. It looks like this. It's an orange postcard that says, we say no to the misnamed Equality Act, to the compromise version. And this is the other danger. They've got a compromise version, another misnamed thing called Fairness for All. All right. They're going to carve out a couple exceptions, like maybe pastors within the confines of the four walls of their church might be able to say something from the Bible. Well, guess what? It's a horrible, horrible bill. It's a horrible, dangerous compromise. And they're getting some Republicans to sign on to it. So what are we doing? Well, we're going to that website you see there, stophr5.com, and we're giving people the easiest way to do the most effective thing, in my opinion. You click a button, and we're sending these orange postcards. We say no, and we're sending them throughout the Congress. You click one button and send it to all 100 senators. Send it to the White House and to the 9 members of the Supreme Court, because this may very well end up before the court if this passes, God forbid. But we are now looking at an orange wave. So, Lance, you've been on the email strains. I launched this thing on Monday. We are now at 155,268 postcards that will be, beginning next week, we're putting them in the mail. They're going to be making their way to the halls of Congress. They're going to go to the court. They're going to go to the White House, and they're going to let the Senate know in particular that America says no to the destruction of our religious liberty, the destruction of our free speech, all of our pro-life laws being wiped out, and putting children and women in harm's way. We say no, and this is the easiest way to do it. In fact, what we did is we made it so you can actually send these postcards through the mail with a click of the button for the price that's less than postage. Less than the postage would be if you sent them all yourself. $10 less than that. And so we're not making money on this. I can guarantee you there's costs that aren't covered even in this price. But it's more important that we get this message out. We say no, and you just do it very easily by going to stophr5.com. We've had all kinds of groups now join on. Jim Garlow is now a part of it. We mentioned Lou Engle. Liberty Councils, Matt Staver is now on board. Rick Joyner from Morningstar. Cheon from Harvest International Ministry just signed on. In fact, I just sent Pastor Cheon's ministry 2,000 postcards that they're going to be handing out in their church, in their events. And here's what you do, by the way. This card that says "We Say No," it's actually customized so that it goes, or this particular card I have in my hand goes to Senator Dianne Feinstein. And in the text of it, on the back, it says, "We are counting on you, Senator Feinstein," her name's inserted there, "to uphold the oath to the Constitution, protect our rights, freedoms, and our most vulnerable." And it will be signed, if it's sent through the website, we'll put in a handwriting signature your name, city, and state. So it will be as if you sent it yourself to all 110.
So, Janet, there's going to be a groundswell of response. I want everyone to respond to this right now. Once again, that website is?
StopHR5.com.
StopHR5.com. Look, folks, action, action, action. This is what you have to do. And I believe that if enough of us actually respond, remember that the big battle that we're in right now is that the average person doesn't understand what's taking place. So, Mercedes, is this something that you think women ought to be able to respond to?
Oh yeah, I think everybody should be going to the website right now, signing up. If we don't do something, no one will. So the church, it's time to rise, take action. And we got a lot more coming up in the next segment. We're going to talk about how all this ties together and how you and I are the resistance.
Lance Wallnau has just released his latest book, God's Chaos Code.
You need to know the code. You need to know what's happening right now. There is a code in the chaos. There's a purpose in the shaking. Once you see this, it's going to give stability and strength to you. God is literally raising up an awakening generation right now. It's hidden in the code.
You need to know the code. Order God's Chaos Code now at godschaoscode.com.